Hello and welcome everyone back to my channel, and welcome back to my Age of Empires mobile game content. So today I'm going to take you down into the weeds. I'm going to give you 5 things that a new player should not do at all costs. If you can figure out a way to not do these things when you're a new player and you're starting your account, it's going to help you out immensely. These are 5 things not to do, 5 mistakes not to make as a new player. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. I don't want to beat around the bush with this. I want to make this video as quick as possible, and I want to get this stuff across to you because this is very, very important. So the first thing you need to understand is that as a new player, resources are going to be critical for you, okay? One of the things you need to know is that as a new player, you need to make a difference in your mind between the things you gather out in the world and the resources that you have in your backpack or in your inventory. The reason I say this is because there is a distinct difference between the resources that you gather out in the world and the resources that you have stored away in your backpack. The stuff that's in your backpack is safe from everybody and everything. Nobody can take the resources out of your backpack once they're in there. So that's key to understand that. So whenever, and it doesn't really hit people until later on in the game, because later on in the game, when people start attacking your city and taking your resources, you will then understand the difference big time, because you'll have a warehouse that protects your resources up to a certain amount. And let's go to that right now so we can look at that. Where is my warehouse? Right here. So my warehouse is level 13. It has a resource storage protection limit of 540k resources, okay? That means that, or no, actually for level 13, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the upgrade screen. For level 13 where I'm at right now, it has a storage protection limit of 480k of each type of resource: wood, food, stone, gold, okay? What that means is that if somebody attacks me, if my resources that I currently have in my town, when you look at the very top of your screen, you see the current amount that you currently have on hand. These are not the resources that are in your backpack. These are the resources that you've gathered from resource nodes out in the world, or these are resources that you have gotten from as rewards for doing quests or for doing raids or whatever you've done, doing rallies. The stuff that gets put into your backpack are kind of like the certificates of, you know, a note of you have 100k wood, and you can put that in your backpack and you can spend that at some later time. Those are safe. But this stuff up top here, if you look at my totals, I had a 470 resource protection limit, 480k resource storage protection limit. That means that if I went to bed right now, I would be fat on food, but I would be okay on stone, I would be okay on gold, and I'd be okay on wood. Because if somebody were to attack my city while I was sleeping, they could take my food down to the point that it goes down to 480k. So they could take like 150k food from me, and then I would get under the protection amount for this resource right here, and they wouldn't be able to take any more. These others they can't take because they're under my warehouse protection limit. Now, when you get to be a big-time player and you get to have a pretty high town hall level, right now mine is just at 15, town center, you'll start to understand that you're going to have millions of resources on hand at any one time, a lot of times. So what the best and smartest thing for you to do is what I call don't go to bed fat, basically. You don't want to go to bed long on all these resources and have too many, because you're just a tempting target. If anybody scouts you and they see that you've got 1,000,000 stone above your protection cap limit, they're going to take it. And you're going to waste all that time that you spent gathering it. And if you bought it, hopefully you didn't do that. But if you bought those resources, then you're going to lose that money you spent on those resources. Here's a little additional pro tip. Don't buy resources for money. It's not worth it. Anyway, don't go to bed fat. What you need to do before you go to bed is you need to make sure that you have long build times going, long researches going, and long troop trainings going. You can look at that in your little builder icon over here, and you can see this one would not be a good one to set before I go to bed because it's only got an hour left. What would be smart would be for me to set something that has a long build time, like a 6, 7, 8 hour construction time. That way I would spend a ton of my resources to set that build, and I would hopefully get myself down under the protection limit on my resources. Spend all you can before you go to bed on your builds so that you spend as much as you can. Spend all that you can on your training so that you have troops going while you're sleeping, and you spend all your resources you can. Spend all you can on your research so that you have a good long research going while you're sleeping. And then it's always a good idea to check your forge and make sure you got something going there too, because you don't want to waste time. But try to keep your resources under your protection limit before you go to bed or before you go to work for a 10-hour shift or whatever, and you don't have time to check your account every 5 minutes. Don't go to bed or go to work fat. Okay, that's one big tip right there. Do not do that. And then the next thing that I want to say is tip number 2 is do not, if at all possible, do not use the resources that are in your backpack. This game has one really cool feature built in, and I'll show you that right now. If you are going to build something and you don't have enough resources to build it at this time, it will ask you, do you want to use the resources in your backpack? And it will only allow you to use just as much as you need to be able to get that upgrade done. So I was looking around for something I could upgrade that was a good example. So like right now, if I wanted to build this market up to level 12, I have everything I need except for gold. I'm short on gold. So if I click this button, it's telling me I have insufficient resources for upgrade. If I click this button, obtain more, what it's going to do is it's going to look in my backpack for the amount of resource certificates I need to be able to make up this gap that I have. If you click on quick use, it's going to use exactly what it needs to get it done, and it won't spend any more. So that's actually a pretty cool feature that allows you to be mindful of the resource certificates that are in your backpack to where you don't waste them. But if at all possible, do not use those resources that are in your backpack. And that is tip number 2. Do not use these if at all possible. The reason why I say this is because, like we talked about earlier, these resources are safe. No one can steal them from you. No one can take them from you in any way whatsoever unless you use them yourself. Okay? That's going to be key for you later in the game. I know a lot of people are going to want to rush their accounts right at the start, and if you choose to do that, then that's, I guess, okay use of the resources, because if you know what you're doing, rushing can be a key strategy. But for most people that are just going to play the game long term, they need to think about saving these certificates in their backpack and trying not to use them. Send your generals out to the world to gather resources instead. Like I have this guy at this Alliance Wood Center getting wood for me, and I have this guy at this gold node getting gold for me, and I'm going to send somebody else out as soon as I find one to gather, so that I don't, boy, I'm low on troops, so that I don't have to use my resource certificates in my backpack. I'm going to actively work to keep these totals where I need to be to do my researches, my troop builds, my constructions. That way I don't have to dip into my backpack, because later on in the game, when PvP starts to become serious and people start to actively scout people's cities to look for people that they can get resources from, that's going to be huge for you. It can help you rebuild after you get your troops destroyed or anything like that. So consider that and keep that in mind. Make sure that you're paying attention to that, because it is important. Okay, so that's tip number 2. Do not use the resources in your backpack. So one of the things that new players will also do is that they will waste time in their building queue. And what I mean by that is, like I was talking about earlier, before you go to bed, before you go to work, try to set long builds that will maximize the time you spend offline and have something constantly going. Always have things going. That is the way that you are able to grow your account most efficiently, is if you always have things going, especially when you're sleeping. It's cool to have stuff building while you're not even playing the game. That way when you come back and you get online for the day, you can click your builds and done and collect them, and levels go up, and you complete quests and you get more resources for rewards, and boom, you're ready to go. You're ready to start playing with a little boost to your resource totals because you collected a bunch of quests like these right here. Gather a resource point 75 times. I'm getting 17k of all those resources. Boom, I just got that. And when I first start my day and pop off all my builds that were done while I was sleeping, that gives you a little boost to start with. Do not go to bed with an empty queue. If you're going to play this game seriously, plan your time to where you farm your resources so that you can set builds before you go to bed. Try to keep your barracks about the same level so that when you make builds, they can be about the same amount of time for each one. Right now, I think my maximum build is up to about 4 hours per slot. So that's a good one to set all of these before I go to bed. And that way, when I wake up, boom, I have an increase to my power right away because I collect all my troops I built while I was sleeping. Set a long research. That way, when you get up in the morning, boom, you collect your research, and you're ready to go. You get some rewards and you set another one and you start farming and do it all over again. So maximizing your build times is key to being able to advance in these kind of games, because it's all about player growth. It's all about power, and it's all about leveling up your buildings, because if you're not doing that, you are going to become somebody's farm. Like, let's see, where can we find a good example? Right here. Right next to my city is this guy, level 5. He's going to be my farm if he doesn't start playing. This guy, level 6, he's going to be my farm if he doesn't start playing. So you can see what I mean about all these people near me that are not really advancing. They should be more advanced than this at this stage. And they're not maximizing their build times and taking that seriously. That's what helps you grow. Okay? One of the other things that new players will do, and they need to be careful about, is not focusing on their heroes. So what do I mean by that? Well, in this game, there are marches and builds that you can do that will allow you to maximize the efficiency of the troops that you send out in the world. Like for me, I have 2 slots unlocked on my number 1 march. I pair warrior with warrior, spearman with spearman, and I have a nice, good, powerful, for a true hero slot march. It's got a good power, it's got good synergy, and you can understand that what I'm doing here is I'm trying to make the most effective pikeman march that I can. My next slot is going to be one of the other best heroes for a pikeman march, and that's going to be Arthur. Or not Arthur, but who is it? Dang it. Let me look. Hang on. Clicked on the wrong button. It's going to be dadgummit. So many menus to go through. This guy, Richard the First, he's going to be slotted into my pikeman lineup when I unlock the ability to get my 3rd hero into that march. Have a plan going forward. Have a plan at the start. Watch some videos on best troop builds and best march compositions and best synergies to know what you're going to do ahead of time, because these resources that you have to spend on these heroes to level them up are critical. If you spend them in the wrong place, you're going to be wasting lots of resources. The skills points that it takes to level these things up, and the scrolls that it takes to level these things up, and the experience that it takes to put into their skills, and the experience books that you have to use to raise their experience levels, and the hero medal, and it just goes on and on. All the resources that you need to rank up your heroes, you don't want to be just throwing them out there willy-nilly. Have a plan. That way you can focus. Because right now you can see I'm focused on these 3, because this is going to be what I consider my bread and butter march. This is going to be my pikeman lineup with the 3 best heroes in the game for a pikeman lineup. I'm focusing on these 3, and then I have my next group that I'm focusing on, and it goes on like that. Don't just take all your skill points and your legendary skill scrolls and all that stuff and just throw them at people just to level them up. Have a plan. Work on that plan, because if you don't, you're going to be sorry down the road when you've wasted so many resources and you have to wait for an event to reset the hero to get some of them back so that you can spend them more wisely. If you're going to play this game, do some research ahead of time before you spend those resources, because it's going to benefit you so much more in the long run if you take your time to think about where you're going to put your resources at before you do. If you don't, you're going to find yourself a month into the game with half of the resources that you spent were basically just wasted, because they're going to be on heroes you're not even going to use. So that's why focusing on the marches that you want to be your primary, and then branching out from there to your second march, and then branching to your third march, focusing on those key heroes and identifying them quickly at the start of the game will help you to focus and not just waste your resources throwing them all over the place. So that was 4 things for new players. Mistakes not to make if you want to be successful in the game. I have one last tip, and I saved it for last because honestly, it is the most important in my mind. The most important thing in this game is this right here, this Empire coins. And the tip that I'm going to give to you is do not waste your Empire coins. The reason why is because, yes, you will get them as rewards here and there, but it's going to be small amounts, and you are going to need these badly for some of the most important things in the game. If you're somebody that's going to throw a lot of money at the game, then boom, you just buy them and you're good and you don't have to worry about it. $100 gets you 50,000 plus a top up of 50,000. You're good. But for most people that are free to play, or for most people that are low spenders or mid spenders, they're not going to have the ability to just throw Empire coins at everything they see that they want. They're going to have to plan and think ahead. One of the things that you need to focus on for your Empire coins is this right here. This is going to be the most crucial place where you spend your Empire coins. And the reason why is because this is going to be where you get your hero tokens for a lot of the heroes you're going to want, but you're not going to have any other way to get. Like Richard. Richard is a hero that you get from the wheel, and he's somebody that's going to be crucial for like a pikeman lineup. This is why you need to save and be stingy with your coins, because to spin this wheel 5 times, it costs 4,200 of your Empire coins. Okay? 4,200. That's a lot. If you look at the prices on these, 4,200 is basically $10. So if you waste these, you've just thrown $10 away. But what you need to do is have a plan ahead of time for what you're going to do. For me, my plan, most effective thing I'm going to do with my Empire coins is I'm going to spend them right here on the wheel, because I need to get as many of Richard's tokens and Frederick from this wheel if I can. And that's my plan. So I have a plan, and I'm not just wasting them. One of the things that I've seen people do that, oh my gosh, if I keep seeing people in videos doing this, I'm going to have a nervous breakdown. But let's just show you an example of what not to do with your Empire coins. Dang it, that's the wrong one. I'm trying to look for the merchant. Market. I think that's where it is, but the wandering merchant is not there right now. Okay, here we go. Well, this is not what I wanted to show you, though. Yeah, it is. This is something I see people do, and it makes me want to scream. Do not buy resources for Empire coins, people. You have to save these for something critical like legendary skill scrolls, hero shards, legendary skill unlock tokens like these. This is what you need to be spending, and this is what you need to be spending your Empire coins on if you're not participating in a wheel event. Do not spend your Empire coins on resources. Just don't do it. It's such a bad thing to do. Okay, it's so bad. And that is my main tip here, is don't waste your coins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a 5-time spin. This is $10 worth right here. I'm going to spin on the wheel, and we'll see how I do. I'm looking to get some shards of Richard, so hopefully I will get some. Let's do it. Doing it live. Got a skill book. That's a good one. Meat. That was a waste. Oh, I got one. I want to hit that 10 while you're watching. If I could hit that 10 while you're watching, that'd be amazing. Oh, I didn't get it, but I got one. So that made the spending of these coins worth it. Now, to get the most value, you need to always go for the 5-time spins, because if you do the math on this, they are so much less than buying them individually. Okay, so always just save up until you get the 5-time spins, and you will, in the long run, save yourself more coins than if you would have just done them singly, one at a time. So as you can see, I've got a little bit farther to go on my spins before I get to this chest, and then I can get 10 of Richard guaranteed. So I am going to get him guaranteed as long as I keep on going and saving my coins for this. You can see I'm going to get enough to unlock him and star him up pretty decently. I don't know how far I'll get because that depends on how many coins I get. I've got 3 days and 7 hours left. I'll probably get somewhere in here because I'm not going to go dump a bunch of cash on coins just to hit these pulls. Although, if you were serious about playing the game, you know, that wouldn't be a purchase that I could fault you for, because you're guaranteed to get his shards as long as you spin the wheel, and you could get lucky and hit this a few times and then boom, you've tripled your investment. So it's a good purchase if you are going to be somebody that spends money in the game. So that was my number one tip for you guys. Do not waste your silver empire coins. There are many ways in the game to earn those, and you need to be the most frugal with those out of all the resources that you have, because those are the most critical resources that you have. So I hope you liked this content. These are 5 tips for new players not to do, so that they have 5 mistakes that new players usually always make that I want to steer you clear of, so that you can have a better time playing the game, be more efficient, grow your account in a faster and better manner, so that you can be top tier, hopefully, if you'll put the work in. So I appreciate you watching my content. I hope you have a great day, and I want you to think about subscribing if this content was entertaining or taught you something. Show a small content creator some love and give me a subscribe and a like, and share it around to your friends so that we can get that out there. These are some key information that come from many years of experience playing these type of games, and I want to share that with you because I want to see you do better. So thank you for watching my content. I appreciate your time. Have a great day.